Good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Professional Insights, where we featured different financial professionals to help you see how a coordinated financial team can help you be more efficient with your finances and building a comprehensive financial plan. And this morning, we're talking with Justin Meyer, real estate attorney and partner with the Rosenthal Meyer law firm out of Florida. And the reason why we're speaking to Justin this morning, he's done quite a bit of work going through the National Association of REALTORS settlement agreement. So we're going to dig into that. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, so we're going to dig into some of those questions. His information and the firm's information is in the description below. So if you want to get a hold of them, feel free to do that. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. We're here every Tuesday morning. So let's jump into this. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic, buddy. And the upside is that we met with your partner, Matt Rosenthal, last week to talk about estate planning and businesses, and he brought this up. So thank you for coming. I know it's a week, but I know you guys are busy, so thank you for being here. Jumping into this thing, can you briefly explain what the NAR settlement is all about and how it came about?
Sure. So if you've bought or sold a home in the past, I don't know, pretty much ever, there's usually two real estate agents on the deal. There's the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. And both were getting paid a commission out of the seller's proceeds. That's not universally true, but that's true in a lot of states and a lot of areas.
Okay.
What happened, what this settlement comes out of is a couple of lawsuits where sellers sued the National Association of REALTORS and several real estate brokerages, the larger ones, claiming basically an antitrust violation, that the sellers felt that they had no choice but to pay these settlements, pay these commissions. You have other suits from buyers who were saying that they were told that the buyer's agent was at no fee to them. And they therefore did not know that the buyer's agent was getting paid by the seller. And they are feeling like that should have been disclosed. I believe one of those cases is being settled here, but not all of them. And there are a couple of cases in that are still floating around. But this, at the end of the day, breaks down to an antitrust case where what the plaintiffs are saying, excuse me, is that they didn't have a choice in how much they were compensating the seller's agent or the buyer's agent, and they weren't necessarily aware of it.
So some of these states, Justin, require or have a buyer's agreement, and I believe every state has a seller's agreement, but not all of them have a buyer's agreement. In that buyer's agreement, the ones that do require it do say or should say what that compensation is. So is it these states, because I know there's some counties in California that jumped into this lawsuit, is that the reason why? Because they're not disclosing what they're making?
I think if they weren't disclosing what they were making or what the source of the income was.
Okay. So with this settlement though,
even with some of the buyers, even with some of the buyers agreements, it may say, I'm going to be your agent and you're going to pay me a, transaction fee of $350, but it doesn't say that they're also going to get $10,000 from the seller.
Okay. So with this settlement, it's $418 million. Who's receiving this money and how will it be used?
Okay. So there's the $418 million, and then there's going to be some smaller subpots that are going to come from large brokerages. Large brokerages are brokerages that have had over $2 billion with a B, in total sales volume in 2022.
Okay.
The $418 million then gets split up, and off the top, you're going to have any settlement fees, right? There's going to be a class action settlement administrator. They're going to get paid. They're going to get paid out of that $418 million. The plaintiff's attorneys are going to get paid out of that $418 million. And because this is several lawsuits, there are several law firms that are going to have their hand in that pot. How that gets divvied up is going to be determined by several judges, because they're not even all in the same court. So they don't even all have the same judge. But the judges will have to determine that. The parties will have to determine that. But several law firms will have their hand in it.
So how does the settlement, or how will the settlement impact the way these larger brokerages handle their commissions?
Don't know yet. Here's what I know. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to start disclosing that their commission is a percentage or a flat fee amount.
Okay.
They will have to start disclosing that I am making 2%, 3%, $20,000, whatever that amount is. They're going to have to start disclosing it. They're going to have to start disclosing it from the beginning, which means you're going to see different agents handling it in different ways, right? You're going to have some agents say, I will do 7 homes for $7,000, the flat commission. You're going to, if the seller doesn't pay it, you're going to pay it. Or, I'll show you 5 homes or 7 homes or as many homes as you want, but I get 7,000 or 10,000, and if the seller's agent doesn't pay it, then you pay it. Or you'll see some that'll start putting in, I get 3% of the sale price, and if the seller doesn't pay it, then you're going to be responsible for paying it.
Okay, now you and I spoke about this a little bit yesterday. There's a couple groups that you feel will most likely be impacted as this kind of rolls out: first-time home buyers and VAs. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So for starting with the first-time home buyers, they're going to be affected. First-time home buyers generally do not have the extra cash to pay a buyer's agent commission.
Okay.
And they are the ones also who need the most help. So they are going to be more affected than, say, somebody who's experienced with real estate and doesn't need as much guidance because this is their 6th home. The other group that's going to be affected by this settlement is VA purchasers. And that is because under VA guidelines, which are federal guidelines that have been in existence for forever, the buyer cannot pay any compensation to their agent. The buyer cannot pay any compensation to their agent under the VA programs. Therefore, if the seller is not offering compensation, the buyer's agent gets paid 0, and therefore they may not be willing to take the chance of helping VA buyers.
So I asked you this question yesterday. I'm going to ask for the viewers as well. If state legislators come and start writing law to help the VAs, you mentioned something interesting of the differences between state law and federal law. Can you kind of explain that again?
I think you'll see some state legislatures try to do something, but because this is a federal program, there's not much they can do. I know we talked about it yesterday. I kind of gave it a little more thought since then. The only thing I came up with is maybe some state program to pay the buyer's agents. I don't know if that would pass muster, and I don't know if that would be something that states would want to do anyway. But that is state law, if passed, is, to be blunt, cute, but does not affect the federal program.
No, we've got there's a lot of layers in this, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned at the very beginning that it's the larger brokerages that are most likely the most affected in this. So what specific groups, and as a general, what specific groups are being affected, and then how does that affect the mom and pop brokerages here locally, say in Utah?
So the mom and pop brokerages are not going to have to contribute. It looks like are not going to have to contribute any money outright.
Okay.
They may see their dues go up, but they may not have to contribute money outright. Where they're going to be affected, where the small brokers are going to be affected, is they're going to have to change their business model when it comes to buyers. They're going to have to change in some way their business model. They're going to have to be willing to take money from the buyers and get those buyer brokerage agreements. A lot of buyers agents, in my experience, don't like doing that. And that's one thing that they're going to have to start doing. The larger brokerages, the Keller Williamses, the Remaxes, the EXPs, the big brokerages that are doing business across the country and are doing a lot of business, they're going to have to enforce new rules as well. And they're going to be watched more than the mom and pop brokerages.
So with the larger brokerages, though, Justin, we've got, they're, like you said, they go across the country, but each state has their own kind of rules and regulations.
Right.
How are they going to enforce, let's call it a federal mandate, right? If each state is different in terms of how they legislate real estate transactions.
All right. So let's separate a couple of things here then.
Okay.
Each state licenses realtors separately.
Okay.
Okay. And you can be a licensed real estate agent without being covered under the settlement. Okay.
Okay.
Part of this settlement was that licensed real estate agents who are not members of NAR or their local real estate association did not have access to the MLS.
Okay.
That was part of the complaint. In Florida, we have realtors who are we have real estate agents who are not realtors. Realtor is a trademark name for members of NAR.
Oh,
we had real estate agents who were licensed and who did not have access to the MLS, did not do anything. What they did was they mainly did referrals, right?
Okay.
I go to you, I say, I want to sell my house. So you say, great, let me put you in touch with my friend Bob. Bob's a realtor. Because you're a real estate agent, also you can get a referral fee.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there were some real estate agents who that's what they do. They would market that they're a real estate agent. If you need help, let them know. They'll put you in touch with somebody who can help you.
Interesting.
So you have that is a part of this entire of this practice. Because you have real estate agents and you have realtors, this covers realtors.
Gotcha. So I didn't know that. I never knew there was a difference.
NAR and then the sub boards, right? In Orlando, we have the Orlando Regional Realtors Association. We have Osceola Realtors. In Utah, in Salt Lake City, you probably have the Salt Lake City Realtor Association.
Yep.
Or something else that they named it so they would have a cute, acronym for it, right?
Right.
Because we all love cute acronyms lately. But you have them, and they're setting up their own separate set of guidelines and rules. This covers that.
Okay.
This doesn't cover John Smith, who's licensed as a real estate agent in Utah, but was never a member of NAR. In fact, what this does, it may end up giving him access to the MLS without ever having to join NAR, and it may give him access to play kind of a slightly level playing field. He will probably need to do some of the same stuff that whoever the NAR realtor is doing. But in terms of state licensing versus NAR, membership, those are two separate and different animals.
So if I'm a realtor though, Justin, I'm looking at this settlement. I mean, not saying that there's going to be multiple settlements or NAR is going to continue to get in trouble or whatever the case may be. But as a realtor, should I consider not participating in the association? I mean, is that a question I should be asking?
Yes. I'm not going to get into. I'm not
Okay.
going to get into whether NAR is good, NAR is bad.
Yeah.
I think you should. I think if it becomes optional, you should consider it. I will tell you, as a professional, as an attorney, I'm a member of several bar associations because I believe that that's an important part of being an attorney. But I don't go into it blindly. I join the associations that I feel are beneficial to me and help my practice. If it is no longer mandatory to be a member of your regional real estate board, then you have to start looking at what's the value in being there.
And you and I spoke about this yesterday, though, Justin, with the MLS. And I'm not an agent. I've never logged into MLS. I have no idea what data it is. But you and I spoke about this yesterday. My challenge with that association, if that's what it is having a realtor that's supposed to look out for a client. Like you said, first-time home buyers.
Yep.
They need the most help. But if I don't have access to and I'm not saying it's free data, because somebody has to bring it together and there is a cost to that. I understand that. But if I'm being forced to pay an obscene amount of money for data for me to do my job and help those individuals get into the largest investment of their life, I find that to be a little bit of a challenge for me. Are you hearing that at all? Or is it one of those things?
So I'm not hearing that so much because of the scheme that we have in Florida, right? Because of the
Okay.
setup that we have in this area where we have the referral. Most referral agents who don't have access to the MLS don't want access to the MLS.
Gotcha.
Because they're holding their real estate license while they are interior designers or financial planners or plumbers or whatever, and they just have their real estate license in case somebody comes to them and says, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a home. Who do you know?" "I know me. Let me put you in touch with." Right? Interior designers, by the way, are great with this. They all get a lot of them, not a lot of them, but I know a few have their real estate license because they know somebody who's going to sell their home. They talk to clients who say, "I'm doing this, and then I want to start looking at selling my home or buying a new home."
Gotcha.
And they can pick up those referrals. So I'm not hearing a lot about this, but that is in part what this suit was about. What some of these suits were about was access to the MLS. It won't be free. It won't be free. I don't believe that it will, because there are costs involved in maintaining it.
Yeah.
But it won't be it looks like it won't require membership in the association. And what that means then will be that other agents will have access to it at possibly at a lower cost.
Interesting. Okay.
I see, and I see your point, and I see what your argument is. I don't know how I feel about it, because I haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you. Even after we talked about it, I thought about it a little bit, and I come back to it's tough, because this is something that's maintained. This is the main purpose of being a member of these organizations, is having access to this data, so that you can serve clients. But then also, it's tough, and I don't know what the right answer to that one is.
So as we wrap up, Justin, because like I said yesterday, I tend to go over a little bit on these things. We try to keep them short. But real quick, 2 last questions. The first one is, as we talk about all of these things, and I know this is kind of a big question, but how do you see this settlement affecting the future landscape of real estate transactions?
Okay, that's a hard one to answer quickly, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
One of 3 things is going to happen. Either one, not much is going to change, and real estate agents are just going to put the compensation for buyer's agents somewhere else.
Okay.
It can no longer be on the MLS. It'll be somewhere else. That's option 1. Option 2 is it will drastically change real estate transactions, because now buyers will be paying the buyer's agent. That will be a closing cost that they have to incur.
Gotcha.
Or 3, somewhere in the middle, where buyer's agents will start getting some compensation from the seller's agents. It'll be listed somewhere, but it'll maybe show up as a seller's concession, and the buyer, sometimes it'll be built into the buyer's loans. So there's a lot of flexibility in how this plays out, and I do think it won't be one. I don't think there will be one answer throughout the country. I think you will see regionalization, where it'll happen one way in Utah, another way in Florida, another way in Ohio, because real estate is, all real estate is local. All politics is local. This is going to be kind of how each group decides to deal with it.
It'll be fun to see how fun is not the word I really want to use, because it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be interesting. That is a good call. So Justin, thank you so much. I apologize for going a little bit over.
I'm happy to be here.
I think a lot of people don't really understand this. There's a lot of resources. I know a lot of people are getting information from Reddit. So we want to try to keep these things impactful. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the work that you and Matt do. We work with Matt quite a bit, your partner. But once again, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. The law firm's link is below. So if you're in Florida and you need help, please reach out to Justin and Matt. A great resource for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll get them to the appropriate party. But thank you for being here. Matt, thank you for your time. As this thing progresses, maybe we'll have you back on and we'll talk about it some more.
All right. Glad to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.